Mr. Patrick McGinty.
Super Bowl champion Seattle Seahawks. How many Seattle Seahawks fans do we have here? Oh, we've got a few. How many Rabbit fans? Anybody? Any Rabbit fans? Oh, this is not going to be too controversial then. How many New England Patriots fans do we have here? Oh, yeah, a couple. Excellent. I'm just wondering. The Seattle Seahawks are annually a Super Bowl favorite. And they've been that way over the last few years because of the quarterback they drafted, Russell Wilson, as well as the Legion of Boom defense. Ever since they've been prominent, they've been Super Bowl contenders. And one of the leaders of the Legion of Boom defense is a Pro Bowler cornerback named Richard Sherman. And the Seattle fans are very jubilant about him. One for me. However, the Seattle and the national media have been forwarding a rumor that the Seattle Seahawks are thinking of trading Richard Sherman. And that doesn't make anybody happy. Even worse, there's a rumor they might trade him to the New England Patriots. Yes! But I'm not here to talk about that. Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, welcome guests. I'm here today to talk to you that I believe the Seattle Seahawks should trade Richard Sherman ASAP. Now I know that's blasphemous for you Seattle Seahawks fans, and that you may vehemently disagree with me. You may be texting your friends to tell them to pop my tires, egg my house, and send nasty memes to my Facebook page, but that's okay. I want you to listen to my 3 reasons. My first reason, Richard Sherman is good, but for how long? Richard Sherman's getting old. By NFL standards, he's old, kind of old like John Mason. John Mason could pull his back tying a shoe. If John ran across the road, he might pull a hammy. And if that's Richard Sherman, all of a sudden you have an $11 million paperweight sitting on the bench. Which leads me to the second reason. While Richard Sherman has value, trade him now for some young future prospects. There are a lot of great cornerbacks in the draft. Think about it. Would you trade an old John Mason for a young Tiffany Holden and Steph Williamson?
Yeah.
Would you?
I would.
Even John would. That's just it. At this time, the Seahawks can do just that. And only the good teams will trade away their good assets while they have value. Look at the New England Patriots. The New England Patriots had a similar player named Darrelle Revis. And they wanted to sign him, but Darrelle Revis wanted $40 million. And they're like, heck no. So the Patriots said, he's 30 years old. We're not giving someone 30 years old $40 million. So they let him sign with the New York Jets, their rivals. And what happened? He was known to be a shutdown cornerback, and he was known that no receiver would go on his Revis Island, because once you're on there, you'll never make a catch. Well, within a year, that Revis Island became the Revis Savannah, where the gazelles are free to roam. So he wasn't worth it. So I believe Richard Sherman should be traded while he has value, which leads me to the third reason. Richard Sherman has been a negative energy on the team lately. And he's been negative in 3 ways. One, he's been challenging the coach, Pete Carroll. He challenged the coach that he didn't run the ball on the 1-yard line instead of passed, which I actually enjoyed. Okay? The second, he's been having spats with his teammates on the field and off the field, which is creating a lot of negative energy. And third, he's actually asked to be traded. So I think we need to trade him now while the iron's hot. Because I believe you need to trade Richard Sherman because he's old, you can get good young assets now, and he's a negative energy. At this point, I want to open it up to the audience for any questions. Anyone have questions? Why? Yes?
Patrick, wouldn't the Legion of Boom be a weaker defense without him?
That is true. They may be initially, but once they bring in the new assets, the new cornerbacks, and the quality that they get, they could actually be even better. Because let's face it, last year they were slowing down, they weren't doing as good, and I think that's because of the age of the defense, and you need to make them younger. And this is the opportunity to make it younger is now. Trade them away, get 2 young talents. Trade away John Mason for Tiffany and Steph. Yes?
Patrick, will most of the team be jubilant about this trade?
The team, will they be jubilant? They probably would not be jubilant about this trade, and they've already expressed their distress about the idea. But they do recognize that the NFL is a business, in that if it makes the team better, and they believe in Coach Pete Carroll, that they recognize that the coaching staff recognizes to get value with 2 young players and trade out the older players, even though it might distress the team initially. But success breeds more success. Yes, John?
Well, I understand that you might be losing your position. Are you just trying to get a spot as a cornerback in the Seahawks?
John, I appreciate the thought, but I myself, just like you, am getting older, and I'm slower, and if I run across the street, I might blow my hammy. Next. Yeah.
Is John going to be jubilant about this trade, meaning up with the new team?
Who
Will
will
John
be?
be jubilant?
This
about-
John Mason?
Yes.
From what I understand, John could care less about the Seattle Seahawks. He only watches football for the food and the beer. That's it. So it's hard to gauge. Yes.
This is crazy. Richard Sherman had a great year last year. Why do you think he won't have a great year next year?
That is a great question. And yes, he did have a good year last year, but he was slowing down. And again, he was being a negative influence. He could have a great year this year, but Darrelle Revis, they thought he was going to have a good year, and then all of a sudden he depreciated really quickly. Again, get rid of Richard Sherman now while he has value, so that you can bring on 2 good assets. A great cornerback and another defensive player that will replace Richard Sherman. I'll take one more question. Paul?
What's his free agency status, and why would another team want to pay a huge amount of money, as you say, when he's old? How easy is it going to be to trade him?
There's a lot of interest in him because there's teams on the cusp of becoming Super Bowl contenders now. There's a lot of quarterbacks who are older, and the time is now, and having Richard Sherman on the defense could help them win now, but not in the future. And good teams like the Patriots and the Seahawks think long-term, not just short-term. Thank you all for your questions. If you have any further questions, please ask me later. I would like to turn it now over to Madam Toastmaster.